It's the Seth Williams Show with Mike Muscahio. And here's your host, Seth Williams and Mike Muscahio.
Welcome to another Wednesday evening. Good afternoon, I guess. Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.
4 o'clock, new start time. Very excited.
I like it.
Do you?
Yeah, I kind of liked it. It was nice having dinner. It was still light outside, and you had a bit of an evening. So
Maybe we should go to 3.
You never know.
Maybe we can start at noon.
Yeah. It's lunch. This is the lunch bunch.
Yeah. No, I like this time. It seems like it's a decent time.
We seem to get our fair share of people that still responded, messaged the show. The same kind of stuff was coming in on a regular basis, so maybe it's more convenient for them too.
Yeah, you can comment on the show. You know how to do that. You can call thesethwilliamsshow.com. I think I have that somewhere. Yeah, there we go. If you want to call, you want to see your face on the screen, you want to join the show, you can always do that. Nobody really does that. I don't understand why.
I don't get that either. But then again, nobody writes letters anymore either. So stuff happens.
I guess you can email, which nobody does either. Yeah. I don't understand, but yeah, that's fine. But there are many ways to get a hold of the show. If you'd like.
Speaking of that, did you catch that thing in the news last couple of days where I forget who, because I was in passing, but somebody who knows something about AI was talking about the fact that within 20, 30 years, we will have the ability to just think to each other because they'll put a chip in that'll be able to read your brain waves and activate something or so on. And you can sit next to somebody and so I don't know if that's a good idea, but supposedly that's something they're working on.
Elon Musk has been everywhere talking about the fact that AI is going to destroy the world, and it's pretty much the most dangerous thing of all time.
That's one thing he and I probably see eye to eye on.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you something. I can't think of, hey, great to see you too, Natalie. But I can't think of anything that might be more fun than being able to have that ability to just read everybody else's thoughts. And, well, they don't have 30 movie theaters anymore, do they?
No.
But that would be fun to sit in that crowd and pick up on what everybody's thoughts are.
Before we get started here, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Then we have Tony Muscahio going to be live from Tracy's, I believe, Pepper Pike. And we also have Eric on from the band Perfect Choice. It's a wedding band, but they do some good stuff. And if you're a fan of the Triv Show, Russell Masha, I believe, sings in that band. Used to sing at the Triv benefits all the time.
Yep.
And we'll talk to Eric in a little while as well. But a friend of the Triv Show and a friend of mine, Charles Guile, friend of yours too, Mike. You've worked with
absolutely. And the Ghost Band, hell yeah.
Yeah, Charles Guile and his Ghost Band. Basically, it's Charles Guile and him is on stage. And he plays the guitar and sings. And him and his wife, I believe, they drive around and do this and tour all over the place. And they're good people. And unfortunately, Charles is ill and needs a quadruple bypass surgery in the next week. Now, Charles is a good dude. He's a good friend of Triv's, and but being that this is what he pretty much does, this is like, this hurts him bad.
Yes.
Medical bills and stuff like that are going to be outrageous. I don't think that he has like the kind of insurance for this kind of thing.
No.
And, I know that he's going to be canceling a lot of gigs because of this, especially this time of year, man. That's really tough for somebody.
Right. Every bar that's got a patio opening up and people wanting to come out and socialize after hibernating all winter long and stuff like that. That's the absolute worst time for an entertainer to be told you're going to be laid up in bed for 3-4 months.
Yeah. Now, I have been through this myself. I mean, 1 year ago,
Yeah.
today, really, I was still not awake and didn't know what was going on, and then woke up to part of the leg missing and no insurance and no way to cover any of this stuff. And I needed help badly, and people came through for me, and hopefully people can come through for Charles too. I put they have a GoFundMe page set up. I put it at the bottom of the screen there. Hopefully we can help him. Yeah, because it's got to be extraordinarily tough, man. I mean, I know it is. And to be sitting there in the hospital right now and not being able to perform and not being able to do what he loves, one, and then needing the help that he needs. I think we know how this audience and Triv's audience and this area in Northeast Ohio can be so generous and giving.
Yep.
Hopefully people can help out Charles some and his family so that way we can get through this. I texted with him a little bit today, and he was very appreciative of sharing this stuff. But like I told him, worry about getting better first.
Yes.
And then, the rest of the stuff will take care of itself.
Yes.
But
everybody listening, it's not a matter. We're not begging you right now to go run and get a credit card.
Right.
Like Seth is talking about. This is an operation on his heart. Mortality and I mean, he needs your prayers don't cost a dime. So give him tons of those till we can get on the show next week or week after sometime. I don't know exactly what day he's doing it, and say surgery was a success and he's recovering.
Yeah, that is the most important thing.
Yes, it is.
That he gets better first, and then the rest of the stuff can take care of itself. But if you feel the need and can help, that would be great. I know that they would greatly appreciate it.
I'll tell you something. I first went to the post that I learned about Charles from because it had your name on it. And I just saw Seth and I wanted to see what you posted. When I saw what it was saddening. And you never want to get news about that about a friend. And then I start reading some of the comments, and I'm not letting the cat out of the bag because he posted it publicly, but I had no idea that and forgotten that Paul Ratto went through what he claimed was the exact same operation.
I think he had a triple. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But so as I'm saying, oh my God, this is serious, and stop to say a prayer. The second prayer I said, though, was one of Thanksgiving, that in this day and age, they do parts of those surgeries robotically so that every movement and incision and suture and whatever they do is laser precise. That's incredible. So I was thankful for the fact that if he had to have this, he's not his dad or his grandfather having to have this, that everything that can go right should go right for him. So as tough as this is, I wish him the best because of all of the things that they can bring into that room on his behalf.
It's so scary, though. Life is so scary. Man.
I'm telling you.
You and I sit here and we argue about all the junk that's going on in the world, and I'm sure we will tonight. But man, when you think about the guy's just out playing, doing his gigs, and loving life, or trying to, anyways, and then something like this comes up, and it's scary. When it happened to me with my leg and everything, and with what happened when I was in a hospital, I never saw it coming.
Dude, you didn't even know what happened. You woke up and it was already over.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know something was wrong. I was acting weird, and then my wife called the ambulance, and then next thing you know, I woke up like I am today. But life is just crazy and scary, and for as great it can be, and that's why sometimes you got to sit back and say, "What the hell are we arguing about?"
I get that part of it, and that's part of why I want to get everybody through this so that we can start concentrating. I'll give you the biggest example right off the bat. How come of the top 38 industrial countries in this world, we're the only one that doesn't have health insurance for everybody? And I'm really sorry, but I don't think there is an argument as to why we should continue to operate and not find a way to provide universal health care. And please don't, once you do it that way, it sucks. Well, you know what? Not having any insurance sucks worse. And this is 2023. Universal health care should be a right, as much as some of the other ones that we argue back and forth about. That's not too much to ask, especially a guy like Charles, who spends his whole life trying to entertain, bring a smile to somebody's face, takes requests, does what everybody else wants to do, puts his name and his talent on the line and shares it with everybody. For as many people as he's made happy, laugh, dance, sing, propose to, celebrate a wedding anniversary, he deserves to be able to not have to carry the cross of, oh my God, I had a major operation the rest of his life.
I agree with you on this, Scott. There you go. I'm not going to get political, and
no, I don't want to either. But
healthcare or anything like that when it comes to somebody that needs help right now. So
right.
I won't comment on all that, and I'm one that probably needs it, but I'm not going to.
No, there's time for all that stuff later, but it gets a little bit frustrating because you want to do as much as you can for your friends and the people you care about. And to bump into that fact is tough to deal with.
Yep, it is. But if you find it in your heart, you can help Charles, please. Again, the GoFundMe is on the page. I'll put it up throughout the show. Help if you can, but definitely if you can't, we understand, but prayers, man.
Amen.
And, there's a lot of people out there that don't believe in it, but I truly believe that prayers work. I think that they worked in my case. I know I had a lot of people praying for me.
Yep.
And I could feel the love, and I know that Charles can feel it too. So, if you can, help. If not, fine, but pray and keep him in your thoughts. All right. There's a lot going on today. I was reading some of your Facebook posts today, and it's quite entertaining to say the least.
I do my best.
You're talking about Ron DeSantis and his, idea to put a prison next to Disney.
Yeah. And I thought it was funny that I came up with the name Tragic Kingdom, and you could put the Tragic Kingdom right next to the Magic Kingdom.
Okay, and so you're upset with that idea, but I mean, did you actually hear the clip? Did you play the clip and hear it, or did you just read some CNN article that
I threw it out there to stir the pot? And like I said, I just wanted to get.
Well, let's play what he actually said, because your post was quite demeaning towards, again, the other side of the aisle and towards Ron DeSantis for saying something that you didn't agree with, but you didn't actually hear the clip. So,
district, one of the things they tried to do was put restrictive covenants on the land that the district owns. So if you look at this whole special district, Walt Disney Corporation obviously owns a lot of it, but the district owns other land. And, quite frankly, I wasn't even thinking about that land. This was not something that was really important one way or another. We just wanted them to live under the same rules, pay the debt, pay the taxes, all that stuff. Oh, but come to think of it, now people are like, well, what should we do with this land? And so, it's like, okay, people have said, maybe have another, maybe create a state park, maybe try to do more amusement parks. Someone even said, like, maybe you need another state prison. Who knows? I mean, I just think that the possibilities are endless, and so that is now going to be analyzed to see what would make the most sense. And
so, I mean, if you listen to the clip, he is basically tongue-in-cheek about the entire thing and saying that some people said this, some people said that, some people said this. Now, I listened to the other networks after I saw your post, and so I looked up different videos, different news reports, and some of the other places. So, they cut out all the stuff in between where he said, hey, we should put a prison there. And they didn't play the laughter and everything else. It was obvious that he was joking. It was obvious that it was tongue in cheek. And so, I mean, your post was kind of, I guess, misinterpreted by people because that's not what he really said. He wasn't saying we're going to put a prison there.
Yeah, well, I think Tragic Kingdom was kind of tongue in cheek too.
But your post wasn't tongue in cheek.
Well, it was satirical.
Well, I'm going to look it up because I don't remember.
Well, I mean, I remember what the post was. I said, this way you can kill two birds with one stone. Families can take their kids to Disney World, and then while they're there, they can point to the Tragic Kingdom and tell their kids, this is where you go to if you read books and wake up. So
what you're saying is that explain this quote to me. This is where you end up if you read books and wake up. Well, I could have sworn that prisons were meant for prisoners, people that commit crimes.
I get that. So the whole thing about arguing with what books should be in school and the whole
hey, you don't think? I mean, we played clips of pornography now in schools where you said that you disagreed with it. So now you don't disagree with it.
No, I didn't say. I'm not talking about a particular book. But
I'm asking.
I'm not just talking about Florida.
Was DeSantis trying to ban
It's a nationwide phenomenon that this is happening in school boards. For example, there are school boards that have taken The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn out of their library because it has the N-word in it. Now, the fact that it was written in 1830 and can be used as a teaching example if that's the way things were, and kids today are sophisticated enough to be able to comprehend that, is something that, I poked and made fun out of. And the way it went back and forth, some people got the point, some people completely missed it. And then they can check out the zoo. Absolutely right. They could put like a big mirror around. And here's the other thing I said that everybody else should contemplate as well. I also said, when your child is 3 and 4 and 5 years old and you spend $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to take the 5 of you to Disney World, what you really should do is throw the kids in the car, go to the Memphis Kiddie Park. Those kids will have just as much fun at the Memphis Kiddie Park because they don't know A from B. And you and your wife can spend the other $15,000 and remodel your kitchen.
I don't disagree with that.
That's where I was going with the whole concept of that. And yes, rather than just come out and throw bricks and stuff like that, I thought I'd try a little bit of humor. And I still think if you were going to build a prison there and name it, and you really wanted to dig, at Disney, if that was your intent by finally doing it, calling the prison the Tragic Kingdom is a pretty good tongue-in-cheek way of doing it.
I'm trying to remember what else you posted in there about the forefathers.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of stuff about how the forefathers tried to send and they tried to do this and tried to do that. And it's like, whoa, man. Yeah, that was really nice. But, we've improved quite a bit since then because, we got 10 rights in the Bill of Rights and we're up to like 24, 23, 24. There are some improvements that used to be made. Now, we did all that over the 200 and plus years. But then back in the 60s, when we got to the ERA amendment, constitutional amendment, that put the brakes on everything. We haven't amended the Constitution since. I'm not saying it has to be, but that thought that we were a living, breathing, evolving document certainly went to hell real quick.
I'm just trying to make sure that you understood what DeSantis said was joking around.
I think he was kidding, but it was also like a little like all things are possible. And, he's had some pretty serious advice. I'm sure the people that were advising him said these are all legitimate possibilities and they're going to be evaluated. Now, Would I bet that there's going to be? No, there's not going to be. Crying out loud. And
It would be
that,
great though.
I don't even think the fight between those two is real because what is Orlando without Disneyland other than alligators and Amway? Nothing.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess they need Disney, but I was.
And Disney needs them because you can't put Disney in Cleveland. The weather sucks.
That would be nice though.
It would, wouldn't it?
A lot less expensive, I think, if it was up here in Cleveland.
I'm telling you, man, bang the dollar for dollar, bang for your buck. Visit that Memphis Kiddie Park. They've improved the roads. There used to be a great ice cream shop across the street too. When I
will say this though: if you're not a fan of Mike Chiselka, you will be a fan of another Chiselka if you just read his posts.
Yeah,
because there is somebody that is apparently related to you. I don't know how.
Oh yeah,
but might be one of the greatest people of all time. So if you're not a fan of Mike, you can still read Mike's post because there is another one out there. It's like Star Wars.
Yeah, and I bet it's a lot like
evil Luke Skywalker has a sister, which is great.
So
Mike is working on a case of DeSantis syndrome. Well, I mean, that's where it starts. It starts with Trump and now it goes on to DeSantis. More people are leaving other states like New York, where people are just violently robbing each other and mugging each other and shooting each other every day, and going to Florida than any other place in the country.
Well, there's another attraction to moving to Florida too.
Disney?
For those. Well, no, for those
weather.
For those deadbeats. Florida has a law that no matter how much debt you have, they can't touch your house or your car.
That's awesome.
So you see what I mean? That's a magnet.
I don't think that's why they're doing it. They would have done it a long time ago. I mean,
they did
a lot of NBA players have gone there because of the tax laws.
The lack of the state tax and stuff like that. Absolutely.
I mean, the real reason that people are leaving places like New York and California and going to Florida is because it's too violent and the left has destroyed those areas. Yeah. And so going to Florida is a nice place to be. They've been friendly toward businesses.
Except the traffic sucks.
In Florida?
Oh my God, is it horrible? The traffic, I'll tell you why. There are way too many people, the roads that, I always find it amazing. You get on, you drive to Columbus and you take 71 south and it's like 2 lanes on either side of the divider. And people go, yeah, I'm taking the highway. Now, what? You're taking an on-ramp. LA, there will be 11 lanes of traffic on either side of the concrete divider. And people navigate that. And so, you know what it's like when you drive down the highway and all of a sudden somebody, for some reason, in some kind of car goes whizzing by you at like 100 miles an hour. We've all seen that. And in and out of traffic and in and out of traffic. And you can see what moves they have to make for the next half mile in front of you before they even make it, because you can see how fast the traffic is going. So these people fly by you. Imagine 8 or 9 lanes of that. That's Florida traffic. Because I have a sister in Daytona and I have a brother in Tampa. So when I go to Florida, I fly into Orlando because that puts me an hour away from both of each one of them. So if I stay in Orlando, it's only an hour drive to see my brother, an hour drive to see my sister, and I'm in the middle. But you'll see 5, 6, 7, 8 lanes of traffic, and everybody, if the speed limit is 70, everybody's doing 85. Yeah, Rick's been there. It's unbelievable. And then you figure out that 80% of the people that are down there are retired. So those guys are out there doing 100, 110 miles an hour. And meanwhile, the woman in front of you is somebody's great grandmother, and she's doing 45. It's just unbelievable that those roads even work at all out there.
Now, I was born in Miami, Florida.
Okay.
I spent some years in Miami. And I will say this. The one thing I didn't like about it when I was down there as a kid is that even then you couldn't go to a convenience store without knowing Spanish.
Oh, okay.
I had to take Spanish a lot as a kid. And to even go into a convenience store, you needed to understand counting money in another language.
Dinero, right. Now, I'll tell you one other quick traffic memory I have of Florida. I was leaving my sister's house and on my way to Orlando's. And on the other side of the highway were all the people that were showing up, because this was like in February, to go to the Daytona 500. So I looked at my odometer and I looked at my watch because I'm trying to catch a 6 o'clock flight. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. And these people out their headlights on and their taillights, it was a parking lot. The traffic was stopped. Nobody was moving. 4 lanes to try to get into Daytona for 37 miles.
Whew.
That was, I'm telling you, you've never seen anything like that in Ohio. But that's just, it's crazy.
I back in the day took a bus trip from when I worked on the rock radio station. And I took a bus trip of listeners down to the Daytona 500.
Oh, wow.
And it was crazy. It was crazy. The traffic was crazy. And everything was just nuts trying to get in and out of that area. Almost left a couple people down there. They decided that instead of watching the race, we're going to go party at Hooters and get drunk. And I finally made the call. We're going to leave them. And as we're driving out of the Daytona Speedway, I see these 2 idiots sitting at the bar on a patio. And because I was looking out the windows trying to find these guys.
Right.
I didn't want to leave them in Florida. And there they were sitting at a bar on a Hooters patio having some cocktails. And I yelled at them. They jumped off the bar. I don't even think they paid their tab. Just got up and left and got on the bus.
Now, I will tell you.
Traffic was nuts.
I'll tell you one other secret about what you saw while you were there. If you'd have come back in September and gone to that same Hooters, that's where the Browns backers meet.
Yeah.
That's the Hooters that inside looks like any sports bar in Berea. There's brown stuff all over the walls and so on and so forth. And it was like, I told my dad, I said, I know why you retired down here.
Too much swampland to have the roads we do here.
Exactly. And that's another scary thing about being on those roads. You get a flat tire and stuff like that. You have no idea what's crawling around out of the Everglades.
Yeah. Drove truck for 13 years, mainly out of Florida, try running over an actual alligator in the middle of the night.
Yep. Yep. That stuff really happens. And the other thing is, too, the other overwhelming thing, especially if you get stuck in traffic, if the power ever goes out there for 4 days, the insects will take Florida back. Because
it's pretty rough down there, man.
Oh, my God. It is. It's so tropical. The vegetation is really harsh. I mean, you can, in Ohio, you can walk over to a flower bush and like bend over and grab it and smell it. No, it's a flower. It will cut your fingers off, the kind of vegetation that grows out of the ground in Florida.
They have those palmetto bugs. You see those palmetto bugs? They're like big flying giant cockroaches.
Yep, exactly.
They're going to take your face off.
Yep. Yep. It's kind of funny the first time you take out a can of Raid. I lived in Florida for 8 years, man. You take out a can of Raid and you point it at the things that are outside on your back patio, and they all look at you and laugh.
Oh, God. We got to take a quick break. I do want to talk about, that story we talked about before the show, 84-year-old guy.
Yeah.
And he shot a kid on his porch.
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on that. I think it's kind of interesting. But again, I want to remind people, our friend Charles Guile in the hospital, quadruple bypass surgery coming up. He could use some help financially and your prayers as well. But he just tours around playing gigs all over the place, music and everything. And he's a good guy, good friend of mine, good friend of Trev. And a lot of people. He really helped out a lot with Coach for Kids. Mike.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, everybody watching the show right now, we're about ready to take a 2-minute break. Watch the commercials on behalf of our sponsors and say your first 2 prayers.
Amen to that. We'll be right back.
What separates Triv's restaurant in Strongsville from everybody else? Some restaurants you go to eat the same thing over and over and over. But then there are restaurants like Triv's where you want to go there every single time and eat something different until you have eaten every single item on the menu. Why? Because the food's delicious and it has been for almost a quarter of a century. Triv's has amazing food, outstanding service, and an opportunity for you to have private dining, special events, and intimate occasions. You can enjoy a memorable fine dining experience in your own dedicated, intimate space. Visit Triv's in the heart of Strongsville. Call now for reservations, 440-238-8830. Triv's in Strongsville. Joe Burdick custom flags are amazing. Each flag is handcrafted to reflect the imperfect perfection, making each piece of patriotic wall art unique. This is a local small business, veteran-owned and proud. Joe Burdick creates symbolic artwork that is built to last. Display your spirit, pride, and patriotism by calling 440-305-2065 and let Joe's flag serve you. 440-305-2065. Joe Burdick Flags. Let me introduce you to Charlie's Auto Repair. Any car, any truck, any problem, Charlie's does it right. You know how it is. The check your engine light comes on, you put air in the tires, and the light is still on. 216-470-0170. That's Charlie's Auto Repair, 13728 Madison in Lakewood. Charlie can do it all, from small engine repair to fleet maintenance and system diagnostics. 216-470-0170. Charlie's Auto Repair. Let Charlie make your car great once again.
Back here on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Sucka. How you doing? All right, we do have Tony Muscahio coming up at 5:30 tonight. Eric from the band Perfect Choice, wedding band, coming up at 5 o'clock. Russell Masha from Triv Show fame, I guess. Just to play a lot of Coach for Kids events. Yeah, I think he's in the band. We'll talk to Eric in just a little bit. Natalie checking in again. The reason I am definitely not going to Florida. And Scott says, too bad, Natalie. I bought your place. He's from Del Boca Vista. I'd move back to Florida if I could. God knows. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Disney politics, but I would definitely love to live or go to Disney on a regular basis. When I was a kid, living in Florida, living in Miami, we were just hours away from Disney. So, go up there quite a bit. And it wasn't as expensive as it is now. I mean, it's an arm and a leg to get up there. And I already lost one. I'm not willing to pay with another.
As you know, I spent 8 years working on cruise ships. So I had a place, and they'd all sail out of Miami. And so 8 years I lived in Florida. I spent an awful lot of time in Miami and an awful lot of time down in South Beach. There was really good food. And if you don't use the roads, if you use the roads at 5 a.m. and 2 a.m, you'll be okay. But I really love the ocean, but I fell in love with the desert. The humidity in Florida is just really nasty. And Arizona is like a really, really nice heat, but it's dry heat and a little more comfortable.
Yeah. All right. This story, I just happened to see the guy going in front of a judge today, but I find the headline of this story interesting. And this is why I want to get your opinions on this.
Okay.
Now, this is CNN. Now, this is why I have a problem with the media in general. This is the headline of this story. the white homeowner accused of shooting a black teen who rang his doorbell, turns himself in, and is released on bail. Now, I've read a lot about this story, and so far I haven't heard anything about any kind of racial hatred here. Now, you're talking about an 84-year-old guy. I'm not going to say white or black. I'm going to say 84-year-old guy who's sitting in his home. Now, he's by himself or whatever. He hears the doorbell ring. He sees some kid supposedly pulling on the handle. That's what he says. The kid says he wasn't pulling on the handle, but shoots him through the door, whatever. And now he's facing life in prison, it looks like. Even though the kid didn't die, he's facing felony assault charges and all kind of different things. But what are your thoughts? Why does this have to be a white and black issue? I don't care who it is. If I was sitting on my couch tonight and it's dark outside and my doorbell is ringing when it shouldn't be ringing because I'm not expecting anybody, and then I look outside, I see somebody out there, I don't care what color they are, and I see them reaching for the door handle of my front door, there's a good possibility that if I was armed, especially if I'm an older gentleman or an older woman or older whatever, and I think somebody's going to come into my house, they have a problem because they should not be there.
Okay. There are several issues at play, Seth, and I'll sort them out one by one. From the very, very beginning, the arresting officers in St. Louis said that there was a racial component to the case.
Well, I want to know what that is because I read the story.
Here's what it's come out. And I will tell you this, the information that I have and some of what I learned the most from was from a discussion on CNN late last night where one of the guys is a columnist for the Washington Post, but he's probably a 55, 56-year-old African-American with dreadlocks, long hair, and a beard. Very articulate. He's a good writer. And he said, plain and simple, that he's been trying to come to grips with how sad it is that somebody that old is still a product of when he grew up. And the teaching of the day was because the kid and the teenager was black, you are in danger. There's a really funny Cleveland comic who's black and says he got on an elevator and he watched the white woman next to him, grab her purse with two hands, pull it up to her chest, and step away from him. He said, I'm 56 years old. I didn't get mad at this woman. I kind of smiled inside and said, it's nice to know I still got it. So my point was, this guy said, first of all, he said, the first thing I thought of was my son. Because in this case, what makes it tragic is it wasn't a punk. It wasn't somebody out to do anything. The kid was sent out to go pick up his younger brother.
Yeah.
And he was off and the whole thing was a mistake. Sadly, the law says you can't shoot somebody in the head, the hand, the foot at all unless you are in imminent danger of being seriously wounded yourself. And there wasn't any of this. So the fact that it was his house means nothing. Because if it's a salesman, if it's a Jehovah's Witness, you can't just open your door and shoot somebody.
No, but somebody can't just open your door and come in.
Well, that is still debatable. The officer didn't say, the arresting officers haven't said that this guy said that he was trying to get in the house. He admitted that he saw a black kid and said he was scared to death.
All right,
now that's really sad because
it is sad, but at the same time, I've had
84 years old. That's really sad if that is true. But if that's true, even the black father that was on TV last night said he felt sad for the guy, wasn't pissed off the guy, but he understood how that happens. But then he looks and says, let's quit pretending that racism still isn't a problem if and when you open the door, and if the person there is of a different color, it bothers you. And that works both ways.
See, one, I've had people clutch their purse and back away when I get on an elevator with them as well. So it's not just a matter of being black. I think a lot of people get profiled in such a way because they look a certain way. So don't just sit here and say it's just a race thing, because I don't think it's just a race thing. And I'm telling you right now, if a white person came up to my door at 10 o'clock at night or whatever time it was,
you still
tried
can't
opening up the door or put his hand on my door, if I had a gun, they might have a problem, because I don't know why they're coming in.
You would have a bigger one. You have the right to protect yourself. You don't have the right to shoot somebody. And who are you? Why are you here? Some sort of dialogue should come way before pulling a trigger. Now, the fact that may not be the status quo in America now is sick and twisted, and why we got to fix shit and fix it fast. But there's no way you can say, well, I didn't know who that person was. They were on my doorstep, so I shot them. That doesn't fly.
Did they cover the other shooting in upstate New York as a white homeowner killed a white girl in his
They
driveway?
didn't have to.
Doesn't matter.
Jesus God, Sandy, there's a difference between an apple and an orange. This guy shot from his porch into the street. So no, he had no idea who was in the car. That doesn't mean that this little tweet here is worthless when trying to discuss what you and I are discussing happening in St. Louis. No, not every shooting is racially motivated. I said last week, Cain killed Abel. 4 people on the planet, and somebody murders somebody. Maybe that's the way we're made. But it's naive, it's wrong, and it is racist to pretend that some people were raised to the fact that, please, let's not kid ourselves. There used to be a sign on Murray Hill that said, N, stay out. And that sign was there for 30 years. It's not there now. I'm not saying we haven't made progress, but you know how sometimes I say advertising makes people think the way they want to think? If you go back 10, 15 years, I think what pissed an awful lot of people off, just like these Bud Light commercials, all of a sudden, you couldn't see a couple or 4 people at a bar or 6 people together in line someplace unless one of them was Oriental, one of them was African-American, one of them was maybe gay, and the other one was white. And every couple was an interracial couple. And for large parts of this country, they didn't see any of that. They really didn't see any of that. You can go to the whole state of North Dakota and parts of Nebraska, and people still haven't seen that. So that's why a lot of people were rubbed the wrong way and thinking that, oh my God, they're trying to force change, all this, that. But you can have a discussion about this guy. If this guy legitimately was scared to death because the kid on the porch was black, it's tragic. It's sad, but it happens. So even the black guy on the panel said, doesn't change the outcome of so on and so forth. But things like that happen and still happen. And to pretend it doesn't happen is sticking your head in your sand, and it's not how we get past it.
Can we acknowledge that in each situation there are 2 problems, racism and historical bad behavior?
But but the historically bad behavior is on both sides too. And I'm not saying the racist, I'm a white guy, and as much as you say, well, you're old and all this, that, and everything, I am sick of being blamed for every single thing that's wrong. And in my act, I say, thanks for waiting till everything was built before deciding that white men were the problem, were the only problem in the world. So yeah, it is just as, and racism goes both ways too. But that's what we got to get past. And we get past it when both sides say, let's get past it.
I don't even know why this is a news story. I'm sorry it happened, but why are we reporting it? Because it's a white-black thing. Because that's what happens.
Because that's all we do is cover bad shit.
No, that's
they
not
covered the one in
New
York.
That
wasn't a
all the
white-black
time.
thing.
There are shootings that happen all the time, but we don't cover it. But because it's a white-black issue,
but you know what?
We're covering.
I'm sure there were people yesterday somewhere in this country that gave a homeless person a sandwich. Those stories don't make the news. Good news doesn't appear on TV. So
it should have been a local story, but now it's a national one. It's a national one because of the media, again, trying to divide this country by putting race into it.
Okay. But there's two
right
ways.
Or wrong when it comes to the shooter. I'm going to say this. Right or wrong when it comes to the shooter. It doesn't matter at this point. What I'm saying is that the media does this kind of stuff to try to divide this country. What they're going to do is sit there and say it's a white guy who killed a black kid, as opposed to, hey, it's an old guy who was afraid and probably was a little bit racist, and he did what he did, and it was stupid, and the guy should probably face consequences. But the headline is a white homeowner kills black teen. And you don't think that's division?
Welcome to my world. I've been saying that since the show started. You sound like me now.
No, I'm
right.
saying
you're dead right.
I think that the media
does that on purpose because we will come. People will go to loggerheads and talk more about this and not get around. I hate to bring Charlie back into this, to the fact that we don't have health care for everybody that's an American citizen. That's just as tragic.
Bottom line, shooter is wrong. You have to wait until they enter your home uninvited. White, black, blue, green, pink. Exactly. But again, it's hardly the news story should have been reported as that, not as white homeowner kills black teen.
Yeah, but you have to read the first paragraph to find out that he did it because he said, I saw a black kid and I got scared.
Okay, if I saw a white kid come into my door, I'd get scared. It doesn't matter what race they are. I'm saying that
it shouldn't. You're right.
It doesn't need
for
to
you,
be
but it
a
does for
story
a
like
lot
that.
of people.
I don't know. Let's see, you got absolutely right. That is the law. Yeah, I know. I knew a person. I got the story from a police officer. A woman saw somebody. It was actually a black woman. Saw somebody who was breaking into their home, coming through a window. They weren't in the window yet, but they saw them messing with the window outside. Shot the person. Person died on the patio. Cops got there. You know what the cops did?
Drag him inside.
Dragged him inside. Dragged him through the hole in the window. So that way there was no charge against the woman.
I will
I'm not going to say where or when that was, but yeah.
Right. But I'll also say this. If you've got kids, teach them this. Don't plan any crimes. The days of getting away with shit are over because we've got way too much video. And with social media, even if you successfully rob a bank, 90% of those idiots post pictures on Facebook of them sitting there with the gun and all the money.
So a white shot a black. What about the other 1,000 that shot each of their own color today?
Okay, well, that statistically will get reported at the end of the year. I was quoting statistics last week about the fact that black on black crime is the hardest on it and so on and so forth. Those stories are out there too.
But they're barely out there. I mean, it doesn't make.
No, it's a matter.
It doesn't make headline news when
you either want to talk about everything or nothing.
Crime.
And I'm from the school of more discussion, not less.
Yeah, but I think you're missing the point of what I was saying. The point of what I was saying is that is what the media is doing, as opposed to, talking about the black on black crime that happens all the time in Chicago, New York, whatever it is. They are not reporting that the way that they would report white guy kills black teen, because I guess it makes for a bigger story.
Well,
if it was an old guy who shot a white kid at his door, do you think it would be national news? I don't think so.
Yeah, but you have to. It didn't get to be a story till the guy who did the killing said, "I shot him because he was black." That's what's unique about this story.
It's not unique though. This is not.
He turned himself in. Yeah, it is because he's 84.
Really
84-13 is not a real, mean statistic for a shooter/victim.
No, but
84 years old, 13 years old is an outlier. So yeah, it's an outlier. When the guy turns himself in and says, "I did it because I got scared because he was black," it may be like the dying remnants of. But then again, there was a woman on the news yesterday who was 103 years old, one of the last survivors of the Holocaust, and she talked about the Holocaust. You can't say, well, that hardly ever happens anymore, and none of those people are even left, so we shouldn't even talk. That's bullshit too. We should be able to talk about everything. Everybody that's pissing and moaning at the bottom of the screen is pissing and moaning because we're talking about something. That's kind of frightening. We should be able to talk about everything and not have it make a difference. Yeah, that's just like my personal.
The media doesn't talk about everything. The media
they should. I know that. That's my problem. I agree with you.
What they want to talk about.
That's so demand some accountability. It doesn't do any good, and nobody's part of the solution if all they do is bitch and moan and whine. It's just like the whole thing with my take on when they changed the name of the Indians. Chief Wahoo was a caricature. If we're going to get to a point where nobody's offended and nobody's racist, then a cartoon character isn't going to offend anybody. So we can be the Indians and Chief Wahoo can be the mascot. We're not there yet, so we're going through all the machinations. But if the goal is to get to a point where none of this bothers anybody, and it actually was Martin Luther. They don't quote this part of the speech where we judge each other not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. Nobody wants to have discussions about people's character anymore. Not we. Unless you're counting yourself as one of those who are doing it wrong. I didn't name you by name, Sandy. But yeah, everybody pisses and moans unless they are there with a solution and not just a whine.
Why, when crimes happen, do all the alleged details get released? How does that help the guy who goes on trial? Should not report on the crime details until after it's over. Yeah, they've already found that guy guilty in the court of CNN. Mike, if a guy had not said that he shot a black kid, still would have become a race issue. Media would have done it. Yes,
there's a possibility that happens too. But then again, I didn't disagree with Seth when he said, and it's been my line. I'm sorry, folks, but it's funny to hear everybody, coming out, all the villagers lighting torches and coming over to my house and chanting what I have been saying since day one, which is the media tries to divide us on purpose, and both of us are wrong for falling for it. So I haven't fallen for it. I invite all of you to join the team and we can get something done.
Mike, just a thought. When I talk about a one-on-one shooting when Chicago, a major city in our nation, is a third world city. See, last weekend, why are you guys not leading with that over the local story?
Well, that's just circumstance. We could have done Chicago just as easy. And I'm not sure we wouldn't have gotten to it because truth of the matter is Seth and I prep for these shows and we discuss what we should talk about. And I'll tell you what, Chicago's on the list. We just happen to start with St. Louis. Seth and I are both, and I'm not putting words in his mouth, but we're not going to disagree on this one. But when Walmart leaves Chicago and the media doesn't have the balls to say the reason why they're leaving Chicago is because of the shoplifting, then nobody's telling the truth.
And in fact, we do have a story about Chicago and a video of a couple that was leaving a store and beating the hell out of because Chicago, once again, is being led by a progressive who thinks that social programs are the answer and not more police. Heard AOC today talking about that teachers need to be getting paid more than the police, and that the police aren't as educated as teachers, and so I don't know why they're not getting paid more. And when the police in New York are some of the most underpaid police in the country.
Yeah.
But it is progressive thinking, when it comes to what we talked about the other day when he said that Jesus was woke. I don't think that the woke agenda is something that Jesus would have liked.
Well,
Just
there's
saying.
a big, huge portion of that is like empathetic, accepting, the sympathetic, and all of that kind of stuff. And that's kind of
That is far from what the left and the woke is at this point. I mean, I have another video that I'm not going to play tonight because we have our guest coming up here shortly. But of a trans person, I think it was a boy who is now a girl, who says that he is braver than any military member out there because he came out as trans. He is now more brave than the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and so forth. And it's a horrible video to see.
It is. But then again,
that's the agenda that I think that that you're missing when it comes to.
But here's an agenda
that's not right.
Here's also an agenda that's equally as wrong. There are apps you can buy and put on your phone, and every 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid has access to, that you push the button and it changes your face. And you can be a goat, and you can be a unicorn, and you can be a fairy, and you can be a monster, and you can be Satan, and you can be a boy, and you can be a girl. Why?
Chicago does have a new mayor. Beetlejuice was defeated. Yes, but this one is actually more progressive than the last. It's
no kidding. It went from bad to worse.
Yeah, if you see who they put in there, this is not going to be good for them.
Yeah.
Left lost the police with the fund, so now they back teachers' unions. Well, I mean, I think that's fairly accurate.
It's strategy.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, a lot, not all. But a lot of teachers are, pushing that agenda on children.
Yeah, well,
I'm not a big fan of that.
I will tell you, having discussions about gender and doing some research on the history of the word woke and all the different machinations and uses. Do you know I came across a list, and supposedly worldwide, there are 81 separate and identifiable different, and I'm not talking just male, female that aren't sexual oriented, but 81 different genders.
I mean, that's completely inaccurate. Yeah.
I mean, I had to.
There's two.
I can think of two. And yes, nature does a cruel and different job with lots of people that are born, and all of that should be tolerated and stuff like that. But I don't think you've got as many kids being that fluid, that curious, and that different about who they could be and what they could look like if your phone didn't show you what life was like. Can you imagine being a little 5-year-old kid that somebody makes fun of and says he's a little fat, says he's a little ugly, says he's a little, and he doesn't have an awful lot of friends, but he goes on his phone and he uses that Snapchat app that takes his face and turns it into a pretty girl? He's 5 years old. Why is that even in his hand?
I wish I had that when I was a kid.
This is what pisses me off, and I'm going to say it again, folks. This is my call to every single one of you. I don't care if you're red, white, blue, green, Republican, Democrat, but that app is on every kid's phone. Why should a 5-year-old kid have to be discouraged? Because you know damn well you've used a tablet and a phone as a babysitter for way too long. They look at those apps, and why should they be curious, or why should they think they're real? Why should they even have questions about, well, I could be this or I could be that, and all of that other stuff? Because they're video after video of kids playing with those things, and they see what they look like as girls, and they might like it. That's wrong at 5 years old.
All right, we got to take a break, and then we have our first guest of the evening joining us, Eric from the band Perfect Choice Wedding Band. We'll talk to him in just a couple of minutes. Hang on. Hey, it's Seth from Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road in the Pleasant Valley Shopping Center right next to Big Lots. You got to check out Mario, man. Great guy, does a lot for charities, but can perform miracles with hair. He even made me look clean cut. Does my hair, does a great job. Love talking to the guy while I'm sitting there. It's a great place to go, local business. You gotta go to Mario's Barbershop in Parma. Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road. Again, in Parma, Pleasant Valley Shopping Center, right next to Big Lots. Or give them a call, 216-520-1977. That's 216-520-1977. Mario's Barbershop in Parma.
Trust Joe's Lakewood Computer at 14035 Madison in Lakewood. They have over 30 years of professional service handling laptop and desktop repair services, virus removal, and data migration, and much more. You can trust them with hardware updates to your computer's memory and hard drive. Call 216-651-3880. Whether you need a simple Windows install or you're interested in the latest computers for gaming, call Joe's Lakewood Computer at 216-651-3880.
This is Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers, for attorney Will Spiegelberg. Will Spiegelberg is not only a name you know, he's someone you can trust as your attorney, no matter the circumstance. Will Spiegelberg is an attorney you can always count on. Will Spiegelberg is the attorney you should contact for all your legal work. When you need an attorney, call Will Spiegelberg at 216-233-4240. Attorney Will Spiegelberg, a great teammate. 216-233-4240.
Right back here, the Seth Williams Show with Mike Chisaka. The band Perfect Choice. I want to play some of their music.
Good.
A minute or two, because I really kind of dig it, and I think it's pretty cool. So let's just check out some of the stuff that they do, and I think you're going to like it.
Here we go. Dance to the music. Dance to the music. Dance to the music. Dance to the music. Oh, yeah.
I kind of like that stuff, man. I'm digging the music.
I didn't know
Yeah,
Russ got a
remember-
shoulder tattoo.
Let's welcome our guest to the show, Eric. How are you doing? Eric, we can't hear you.
Now you can.
Now
There
we
you go.
can.
I didn't have it on earlier. How you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Nice to be on. Thanks for having me.
Perfect Choice Entertainment.
Yes.
So explain to everybody what you guys do.
So Perfect Choice Entertainment provides live music for events of all kinds, weddings, private events, church gigs, birthday parties, pretty much whatever. We also play out in different, we'll do bar gigs, so forth. It's actually a bunch of different groups that I either work in or represent. So we have big bands. We have the rock band, cover band that you just heard, and a bunch of other things that I've been doing around town for quite a while.
Now, I've heard that a guy that I know is actually in one of the bands, Russell Masha.
Yeah, Russ Masha. Actually, great story, which I didn't know that he mentioned one day when we were talking, was that he was a good friend of Triv's and that Triv would have him call in. And I met Russ. He actually came out to Brothers Lounge when one of my bands was playing there, and he was talking about singing some Sinatra or some things, and was wondering if I'd be interested in having him sit in. And that was right before the world shut down for a while.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, in October of, I think it was 2021, he contacted me about wanting to do a couple projects over at the 9 Hotel in the Alex Theater, and he needed a backup band. So we wound up talking for a bit, and he has his show that's already up and running called Vegas After Dark. And it's a great show with him, and he has a couple other folks. Actually, one of the girls that was in the video that you saw, her name is Trisha. She also is in the show as well. And so that's how I met Russ. And then he gave me the story about how he used to be on the show every now and then.
Yeah, he actually did a lot for Coach for Kids as well as Michael did. So it was always good. He was a good guy, and I'd love to check him out sometime. So how did you get started with all this?
Well, I'm a lifetime Cleveland resident, grew up in Old Brooklyn, and wound up being involved just with music since, started in the band program in 5th grade, and was just always interested. A very good friend of mine lived right down the street from me that we became friends, and actually started our own first big band, 16 pieces, saxophones, trumpets, trombones, and everything when we were, I was a junior in high school and he was a senior. So around 15, 16 years old. And then he wound up going to Youngstown State. I went down and heard the band programs there. I went to Youngstown State and just kind of got involved with a lot of really incredible and talented musicians, and then started putting bands together.
Cool.
Yeah, when I see your guys' kind of music, man, it makes me happy because I think that music these days, with all this auto-tune crap and stuff, it's missing that feel of instruments and not just the guitars and drums, but man, I love that sound of the horns and everything that you guys got going on, at least that particular side of it. And it's amazing.
Yeah, thank you very much. The one thing that I always try to do, and I've played in wedding bands over the years, quite a few different ones from around town, and always thought that if I wound up doing one on my own, that I'd do it what I felt to be the right way, which was try to recreate exactly the way people hear it. Because a lot of times when you go out to hear a band, just like we all do, it's basically, it's like having a live karaoke machine. Everybody wants to sing along with the band and know how it goes, and they just sing along with it just like the radio. But in this case, because of the fact that it's live, you get that extra energy, and you get those moments that happen when you're in a setting where all of a sudden something might, extend a little bit or add some more energy or get everybody clapping and getting everybody involved. So it's a great thing to do. I've always loved it, performing and providing something that gives people something to listen to or think about instead of the things that we have to deal with most of the time.
You're also the missing link and a bridge back to something that entertainment today is sorely, sorely missing. And if you look to your left on the big screen down here, you see the Pickwick and East 4th Street.
Yes.
This generation, and I miss it. There is just no place you can go, sit in a comfortable booth, eat a good steak, and listen to a house band with a torch singer.
Right.
And if there was one night a week where, because to get dressed up and go out to have dinner and is just something that, if nobody knows what I'm talking about, they've been cheated, because that's such a wonderful way to spend an evening out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very lucky that I work with a couple different bands, one of which you may be familiar with that I took over. A gentleman by the name of Dan Zola had an orchestra here in Cleveland for almost 60 years until he retired in 2020. And as a fellow band leader, after all of those years, he finally decided to retire. And he hit all the classic ballrooms and all the great places to play, and did a lot of the kind of Vegas night performances where you'd have the dinner and a show. One of the things that actually Russell is trying to do right now as well. We just did a show down at the Goodyear Theater, and he's putting together some promotion to be able to take that out and go to some of the places around here to offer exactly what you're talking about. A night to go out, get dressed to the nines, have a nice meal, and see some real quality live entertainment.
And I also think that, the patio season here, everybody's getting excited about because it's right around the corner. And yeah, that's a great night out. But I'll tell you something, the in-house band, and the steakhouse club, that's a great way to spend a winter night out when the patio's all closed. Bring the energy inside. It'd be great.
Sure. I used to the one band that I run also, which is a 16-piece band called the Sketch Anderson Orchestra. That's actually the band that my friend and I started when we were in high school.
Wow.
And we used to play every Monday at Brothers Lounge every Monday night until all the things with the pandemic happened.
COVID, yeah.
For like 12 years, I think it was, every Monday. And unfortunately, just for the things that have come back up and people still trying to get things under their feet, they're still not open regularly on Mondays. So fortunately, there's a place right over here in Parma, on the Parma Cleveland border, actually right not too far from where I live, called the Union House on Brook Park. And that band actually plays there the first Monday of the month. So we'll be there on May 1st. And they have great food. And the nice thing is for there, especially, is that it's free. They don't charge a cover. So we work with the restaurant, and they have a guarantee for us. Of course, when you're working with a lot of people, it's not a whole lot of money, but it's an opportunity again for us to play some great music, let people come out and have a good night.
So I know that you're involved in a lot of school stuff as well.
Yes.
So what's it like now with the arts programs being defunded and that kind of thing? What are the kids playing these days? How are they playing? What's the level of the kids these days?
Well, one of the things that I'm involved with, actually two things. There's an international group called the Jazz Education Network, and they do a conference every year. This last January was in Orlando, Florida. And I've been part of the registration and coordination staff for 6 years with them, along with my wife, who's also a trumpet player. I play trombone, just in case I'm the trombone player in the video.
Cool.
But it was really, really inspiring, especially this year. I got the chance to run sound in one of the rooms where some of the high school bands and some of the other ones that come down and take part in the conference. Here's some incredible young players and bands out there making some great music. And even here, one of the things that we do, that I've done, and we just got the opportunity to do it the first time since COVID, was we do what we call the opening act. So we start, the band I run starts at 8:00. So we'll get a high school band, one of the local high school bands, to come in from 7 to 7:45 and play a live set. So they get the opportunity to play on a stage, and an opportunity to perform for people. A lot of cases it's us and parents and then people that are at the bar, but it's very cool because we also get to hear what is going on out there. And there are some really, really good programs that are right here, right in our own backyard. So it's nice. And it's a good opportunity to work with them and give them an opportunity to be, perform professionally.
Yeah, I think that's like super cool because, there's not a whole lot of outlets for kids now to play, like the trombone or the trumpet and stuff like that. And music programs have been taken out of a lot of schools. Same, even sports sometimes are getting taken out because of lack of funding. And kids need that outlet, but then they need somewhere to go with that talent. If they got that talent, they need to be able to take it somewhere.
Sure.
And so I think that's cool that there's programs out there.
Yeah. Trying to give opportunities. There's a great organization here in town, a couple of them, just to kind of throw out there. One friend of mine, his name is Chris Morin, is part of a group called the Contemporary Youth Orchestra. And they were started about 25 years ago by a woman named Liza Grossman, and she's a violinist. And it's a group that is you audition for and you take part in, and they do concerts throughout the year, but then they always do like one rock concert. So a couple of years ago they had Tommy Shaw from Styx come and be the local person, or maybe last year I think it was, Chris just took over as the musical director. Liza went on to another project, but they had Night Ranger come and be part of their concert, which was really cool because Chris had to do, musically speaking, had to do the arrangements, basically take the Night Ranger tunes and make sure they fit with the orchestra, as well as the Night Ranger parts. And actually the guys in Night Ranger were, as Chris was telling me, very moved because they never thought they would hear their music playing with an orchestra. So there's that. There's the Cleveland Orchestra has a youth orchestra. So there's some classical outlets. There's the schools of rock around that are, kind of the franchise of teaching. There's some great things going on there. And then, like I said, some of the things that I do is I go out and I'll work with schools, coach them, sit in on their rehearsals and work with them as well. And then try to get them to come out and be part of our performances. So we're trying.
I played saxophone as a kid.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I loved it. My mom forced me into playing saxophone because she thought this guy in a movie played saxophone was kind of hot.
Yeah.
And so she thought it'd be cool if I picked up the saxophone and started playing it. And I loved it. I don't know why I gave it up, but I see people now again playing these horns and doing this stuff, and it's absolutely amazing. So what's the website that people can go to, and how long does it take to book you guys? I mean, someone wants to book a wedding band. What should people know?
So you can go out to perfectchoiceband.com, and there's a form on there where you can put in your information. Pretty much, if we once I get the information, I let people know very quickly. I'm the one who gets all of the information. In fact, when I work with, or if I get leads and then we get bookings and contracts, we also work with another agency here as well as booking things in-house. But then I'll wind up working with clients once we find out if the date's open, and we do all the paperwork and so forth and make sure that they have what they want. From there, it's really a one-to-one conversation and process with me, talking about what they want, talking about going through the whole process of what's going to happen, obviously during the day of, and making sure that we have all the songs that they want. If they want certain music for, let's say, a ceremony or during their cocktail hour, or if they have even requests, like usually a lot of times we'll get requests for first dance songs that maybe we don't have on our list of 400 songs or so that we have out there.
Yeah.
And, but I say, which, especially being friends with Chris and knowing I'm sure Billy Morris and all of these guys around, there's such an incredible amount of talent here in the area. I too am so fortunate that the people in my band are very talented. So we get the chance to learn new tunes and try and do things because the idea is for us is, we get one shot to make this the party of the year for everybody to remember.
Yeah.
It's one night. If we don't do it, we don't get another shot the next night. So we're very dedicated to making sure that the music that we play and the process that we do, as far as even going through, making it as stress-free as possible, but then just blowing up the dance floor all night.
I'll tell you what, man. I was looking at the website earlier on today. It's amazing. It's a good website, but looking at the amount of songs and artists that you guys do, it's shocking that you can remember that much music.
Yeah, and a lot of what we do is it winds
There's
up being
everything on there.
Well, and one of the things that we kind of do, and the reason why we do it that way is that, do we know everything immediately? Like if you told me right now to play, maybe one of the tunes on there, we might not know it immediately right now. That's why we go through the process. However, what it usually winds up doing is that it drives our clients to look at what is available. And then that gives me an idea of where we can plan the night. So if they're looking at things that are a little bit more modern or a little bit more, like 80s, 90s and stuff like that, then we can kind of tailor the night to that. If they're really heavy on Earth, Wind and Fire and Al Green and the Temptations and Motown stuff, then we know too that that's kind of their sweet spot. And then because of the fact that you're going to have people pretty much of all ages, we try to make sure we're doing something from as many of the decades as possible. So at one point in the time throughout the night, somebody's going to go, man, I love that song. And that's what they'll remember.
Cool. I have a couple ideas just sitting there listening to you guys and just thinking, and I'll share them with you. You can have them, Eric.
Sure.
There was a story yesterday and again today that Dave's Bridal Shop
Yes.
is in serious financial problem. There's a lot of thought that people are afraid that it might go out of business. So your next commercial, you could cut a commercial that said, if you have a really good band, no one will notice your dress.
Nice. Okay.
And then if that can help you, can. And then last year I was at a show at the Goodyear Theater in Akron.
Yeah.
And it was a revival show about old time burlesque.
Okay.
So if Russ and you guys want to put together a really nice adult Vegas night,
Yeah.
we could have like one stripper, and if you need a comic for breaks and while you're on,
I've heard you've done
like
some
that,
work in that area.
I'm happy to help you guys out too. So
Just not on this show, Eric.
Okay. Right.
So you also do radio, right?
Yes, I do.
Where at? How can people hear you?
It's the station is 91.5, which is WKHR, and it's actually out of Kenston High School out in Bainbridge, Chagrin Falls. In fact, I saw somebody comment real quick about bring it out to Chagrin Falls.
Yeah.
And the Perfect Choice Band actually is going to be playing in Chagrin Falls on, I think it's July 14th. They do a summer concert series, and we've played there for 3 years, and they asked us back and love playing out there. And so, but WKHR is based out of, like I said, out of Kenston High School, and it's all, funded by the listeners. There's no paid advertisement, but it's a big band. The catchphrase or the logo of it is swing, sweet, and jive, which are the different styles of big band music back. And I'm on from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Monday mornings. And do a little bit of From the Great American Songbook for those of you familiar with that. Mm-hmm. And then also a lot of Sinatra, Dean Martin, Count Basie, and things that a lot of people, I always think is very funny, is that it's more music than people realize that they know, because you hear them in commercials and movies in the background,
right,
and so many other things where people say, I'm not really a jazz fan. And then they hear things. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. I like that.
Yeah. I did 23 years in corporate radio. So I can only imagine what it's like to do radio for something like that, where it's actually might be fun to do. And play music that you want to play or people actually want to hear. And so that's cool. So
yeah, it's very rewarding. I started I actually just the end of next month, it'll be 1 year that I went from when I started there. I went through the training with another DJ there named Joanne, and she does a show on Saturdays from 3 to 6. And it's great as long as you keep relatively within the constructs of what the music, what they they push.
Right.
There have been a couple of times where I'll push things a little bit out to see if I happen to sail a couple things through, but it's always trying to broaden the listener experience a little bit. And it's always, of course, as you know, when you got being on Triv Show, I used to listen to Triv Show on and off over many years, is that it's always great, as well as getting people calling up to get into heavier conversations, but just hearing that, hey, you know what, I really enjoyed your show today. I really enjoyed some, that segment. I really got a lot out of it. And that's very fun too, especially when I wind up putting things on that I know that nobody has ever played before. Because and that's very fun.
Do you have any gigs coming up that people can go see any of the bands at?
Yeah, actually this Saturday, the Dan Zola Orchestra is out in Burton at the American Legion Hall. I think it's post 495. And they are doing a fundraiser to, I think it's add either a ramp or elevator so they can have access to the second floor. Because right now there's no access to the second floor, and they're looking to try and have an opportunity to earn some money by renting it out. But right now, since it's not handicapped accessible, they're not able to do that. So they're trying to raise money. So they're doing a kind of a USO type show. They actually have a bluegrass band during the day, and then we're playing in the evening. May 1st, the Sketch Anderson Orchestra will be at the Union House, and May 2nd, kind of what you were talking about, Mike, with the Dan Zola Orchestra again, is playing at the ballroom at Park Lane, right down off 105th, East 105th, and doing a swing dance night. So we get a couple swing dancers to come out. They give a quick lesson, and then we play for a couple hours and people kind of sit around and they'll dance. And at some point, we're looking to do something more of, again, like a dinner dance opportunity. And then kind of going back to Russ, since we've talked about him a couple times, he's just about ready to launch a great new promotional video, and he's working on some other things. I know we're playing for the Taste of Middleburg again this year in October. Cool. And that was a sold-out event last year. So things are happening. There's a lot of good things going on here in Cleveland.
Well, when you get that video, send it to us. I'd love to play it and see it, and we can promote the events that you guys got coming up. So
we'll do.
It's cool. But I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to both you guys. Great talking to you. And
likewise.
We'll perfect choice band.com. Perfectchoiceband.com.
Yep, all part of Perfect Choice Entertainment. I always say one of the funniest things is when I get in my car, and my car likes to say download completed for first 1,000 entries. So I have a lot of contacts and a lot of opportunities for people if they're looking for anything out there. In fact, I also play in, like this morning, I had a rehearsal with a brass quintet, and we're playing for Memorial Day in Middleburg Heights. So I'm very fortunate that I can probably cover just about anything that people are looking for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Eric. Much appreciated.
Thanks, guys.
PerfectChoiceBand.com.
Yep.
Check it out, and I'll have you on again because I enjoy this. So thank you very much.
I'd love to.
All right, we'll
Great
talk
time.
to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. We got Tony Muscahio coming up in just a minute or two here. I see food in the background.
Ooh.
So we're going to get to him in just about 2 minutes, so hang on.
All right. What's going on, everybody? It is Chris Aiken from the Classic Metal Show and Chris Aiken Presents and every other show that you've ever watched on the CMS network, I think. And while it's fun to talk about music and stuff, sometimes we got to get a little bit serious here. And this is one of those times. Anybody that lives in Ohio is certainly well aware of what's going on over in East Palestine. And the CMS network, as well as the Seth Williams Show and Classic Metal Show and Chris Aiken Presents, and really everybody on the network, we are participating in a charity to help raise some money for the people of East Palestine. Ohio Comics Stand Up for East Palestine is the charity. It's being put on by the Way Station, thewaystation.org. What it is it's a series of comedy events that are going on through the next month and a half to raise money for the people of East Palestine. You can see on the flyer where the events are going to be. They're at various comedy stops around northeastern Ohio. It's a great cause. All of the money, every penny of the money that is raised goes to help the people from East Palestine to get everything from air filters to water to, getting their soil ready for planting and the things that they do. So do yourselves a favor, give yourself some good karma, do them more of a favor than yourself, and donate. Won't you go to thewaystation.org, you'll see the donate now, click the donate now button, and right on the screen that loads up, you'll see where it says to donate some money. Donate a little bit of money. Your donation will act as your ticket. So whatever you donate, it'll get you in the door for any one of these comedy events. It's a great night of comedy. Even if you don't give a damn about the event itself, you certainly can give a damn about having a great night out. So go do it. It's cheap and it's helpful to the community, and that's what we expect you to do. So go do it today. Ohio Comics, stand up for East Palestine.
Right back here on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Jasoka. And we're going to Tony Muscahio.
Buongiorno.
Tony, where are you at?
Buongiorno. How are you guys?
Good. How you doing?
2 years Italian. That's all I got.
Wow.
Guys, look at this. It is baked lasagna. I am here live at Geraci's at 29425 Chagrin Boulevard, across the street from Beachmont Country Club. I have Greg Spoth here. He's going to come on in a few moments and talk about the restaurants that he owns. Guys, this is baked lasagna. Isn't it? It's unbelievable.
Looks amazing. Yeah.
It is the size of the plate. I mean, you can feed Ethiopia with this plate. So again, they are located on Chagrin Boulevard. This used to be the old Exo, and then years ago it was Moe's, which was in the 70s and 80s. This is an unbelievable place. It's really cool. So I'm going to show you the dining room in a moment here. But before that, I'm actually, while I'm talking, I'm going to show you the dishes that I have in front of me. which I have a gluten-free pasta. We have a side of spaghetti. I have the chicken Parmesan, chicken Francese, another little side of pasta, gluten-free pizza, and this is their G salad. Feeds the whole family, guys. Really a great place. They started in 1956. Here's Greg. Greg, say hello.
Hello.
They started in 1956 in University Heights. Now they have Pepper Pike, Mayfield Village. They have the Slice Shop, which is in downtown Willoughby. And this is really cool, guys. The old Vincenza's, which was located on Prospect Avenue for many years. Then it closed, unfortunately, before pandemic. Geraci's is opening up another Geraci Slice Shop. And guess who their partner is going to be? Tito Francona.
Nice.
Yes. The guy.
Nice.
Isn't this cool?
We're very, very excited.
And I actually look at Greg. He looks just like him. They could be twins.
There you go.
They came from different mothers.
It's a
But
funny story on Tito. I had never met him before, and the first time I met him, we did a Zoom call and telling him, every 2 weeks we're giving an update on how everything's going. And I said, Terry, I want you to know that a lot of people say that we look a lot alike, but that you're a lot better looking. And he said, well, that doesn't say much for you, Greg.
it's funny.
So he's a great guy.
Yeah. So really what's cool about this too, guys, is the restaurant that Terry's going to be involved with, Greg, a lot of the proceeds are going to go to charity, which is, it just goes, and Greg just goes to show you what both of these guys give back in the community. And you guys know it as well as I do, what we have done for Coats for Kids over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
It's a great give back. It truly is. So, and
We're excited. Terry had asked for his signature pizza, and we said, well, what do you want on it? He said, well, it's got to have mushroom and pepperoni. And we said, okay, we'll come up with something for it. And when we met him that day, we asked him if he'd come behind the pizza line and help make a pizza. So he said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Give me an apron. He puts an apron on. And then we showed him that his pizza, we had special home plate baseball pans made for him. So if you get a Francona pizza, it's going to be in the shape of a home plate.
Oh, that's
Oh,
very
nice.
cool.
that is cool.
And then the proceeds will be going to charity.
Which is cool. And again, guys, that's right in the heart of downtown, right by East 4th and Prospect, down the street from Barrios, down the street from Pickwick and Frolic. And those places, of course, we're going to visit real soon. So, and again, here's it's old school where everybody on the east side knows, and I know that you're going to tell the story momentarily, Seth. Everybody was brought up with Geraci's in University Heights. It was that restaurant that you went to after a football game or a Saturday afternoon with your family, and everyone traveled. I lived in Bedford. My mom and dad took me there. It's just a great pizza shop. So
Yeah. My mom.
Go ahead.
I lived in Cleveland Heights. I spent a lot of time in Cleveland Heights, and my mom would take me to Geraci's all the time, and that was like the biggest treat in the world to me, was going up there and eating the pizza, and it was absolutely amazing. I'm sure it still is. I haven't been there in so long. I need to get to Geraci's.
yeah.
Thank you
Tony,
very much.
Tony, I can't believe you've done this segment so far without your mouth full. I can't believe that that's sitting there and nobody's got a fork in it.
I'm going to wait a few moments on this, but yes, I will eat it as soon as I get off the air with you guys.
Jeez.
So give me one moment. I'm going to actually show you how cool this place is. And again, it was the original restaurant when it was Moe's. It's all different building, or all different rooms inside this building. Here's this party center where you can actually call in and get a little, whether it be a bridal shower or a bar mitzvah or a baptism. This is a divided room right here, which is really cool. And then it opens up, and then you go right into the dining room, which is his large dining room right here.
Wow.
Isn't this cool?
Beautiful.
Say hi,
cool.
folks. I hope you're allowed to be here tonight. Isn't this cool? And then the patio outside, which is going to be open actually within a week. It's open now. It was open when it got warm here. So here's the staff. And it's a great little.
every time.
Isn't that cool?
It is.
And they have every bourbon, every vodka, every tequila, great wines. They have Malbec.
Tony, you need to go back to where you were at, Tone, so we can hear and see you again.
Well,
Okay, go back to the food. Go back to the lasagna. You should have never left that baked lasagna.
I'm telling you, that's the price he pays for leaving the food.
I'm telling you, that's why it happened.
And he also needs to upgrade to like 5G network. That might help a little bit.
Yeah.
If he does that, but yeah. So I guess we'll go back to him if he happens to pop back on the screen.
Yeah. Well,
but Tracy is amazing. Wait,
yeah,
he's back at the food.
Everybody
there's
knows
the lasagna.
You're back at the food. We lost you for a little bit there, Tone.
That's okay. I just want to kind of give you a perspective of how cool the bar is.
Oh, it's a great bar.
Anyways, what I was talking about when the pandemic happened, gratefully, Greg and his staff were able to do a great to-go here with pizzas. I mean, that's what kept him alive. And here's a guy. It's so funny. I've known Greg for a long time. I've done a few shows here on my Saturday morning show, which is Flashpoint 1490 WERE every Saturday morning. I got to throw that plug in. You can tune me in every Saturday with Ed Flash Barons. That he is the guy that rolls up his sleeves. He always has a tie on, always dressed up. He is literally from table to table, whether it be a new customer or a loyal customer that he's had for 30 years, 50 years, 60 years in this industry. And I saw him the one morning. This is so funny. So I came here about, 10 o'clock, 10:30, because we do the window cleaning here also. And I said, "Where's Greg?" He was in the kitchen with a pile of dishes in front of him, with the tie still on, the glasses fogged up. We didn't even say anything to each other. We did not even say anything to each other. And I could just, it's welcome to the restaurant industry. But Greg, I'll let
Yep.
And Seth, you can relate to that in the old days when you were working in the flats. You did whatever you had to keep the doors open in a restaurant.
Absolutely.
And today it's even more greater because of the help.
Well, it's so cool to see like a restaurant like Geraci's survive through that pandemic and actually now expanding and getting even bigger. I mean, that's really cool because so many places didn't make it, man. I mean, it's really awesome that they're still around.
And here's a guy who's, he's ready to retire. And instead of retiring and, taking up fishing, he's putting fish dinners on the menu and opening up 2 more restaurants. So I got to give him credit. And his son, Bucky, is really a great part of this.
Perfect.
And his wife, Marty, is another big part of this industry.
2 of our sons are full-time with the restaurant. And,
That's good.
My wife is a Geraci. It's her, my in-laws that started this back.
That's great.
Yeah. So great story. And again, guys,
it really is.
we're going to see more of these little stories. Obviously, this is always a great segment. And
God,
Seth
that
Williams,
food.
Mike Jasalka show.
That food just looks absolutely amazing. It's unbelievable. I'm just sitting here staring at the food going, my God, I'm so hungry. And like, I got to have dinner.
Well, make sure you get some. I one quick story about Terry when I met him. The other thing that he told us as the conversation went along, well, I really appreciate you guys. You can call me every 2 weeks and give me an update, but I want you to know that you're not going to tell me when to bunt, and I'm not going to tell you how to cook your food.
It's perfect.
Deal.
So, thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Can't
That
ask
is very cool.
for a better partner.
No.
So, and again, Greg, why don't you talk about the cars that are coming on Sunday? You have classic cars every Sunday.
Up at Pepper Pike here, starting 3rd week in May throughout the summer. We do from 4 to 8 o'clock classic cars. And, we'll get anywhere from 25 to 50 classic cars. Lots of people coming to watch them. And then we do a couple of food promotions for people who want to stay and eat. So
and you talk about your brunch.
nice.
We got a moment here.
Starting for the first time, we're doing a brunch and a lunch menu every Sunday. So I'm looking forward to brunch. I think it'll do very well, and it's going to be a good brunch. So
Great.
That sounds
Love
cool.
it.
Yeah.
So guys, again, I am here live at Geraci's 29425 Chagrin Boulevard. Tony Muscahio reporting for Seth Williams and Mike Jasalka show. But before I depart, Seth, why don't you give away a gift certificate? We'll give away a $20 gift certificate, so you know what to say.
Absolutely. If somebody wants to email us right now, SethWilliams32 at yahoo.com, SethWilliams32 at yahoo.com, or Seth and Mike at outlook.com. You can email us, and I'll pick a winner for the gift certificate to Geraci's. Now, this show, airs all week. It's posted wherever, podcasts are available. So we're going to give it a couple of days. But if email SethWilliams32 at yahoo.com or Seth and Mike at outlook.com. The address is on the screen. We'll pick a winner to get a Geraci's gift certificate. That's fantastic. The place is awesome. So email us. We'll pick a winner. Thank you.
And let me leave
we
you
really
with, let me
appreciate
leave you with let me leave you with this. This is a true story. It has to be true. I read it on the internet. This guy actually changed his gender so he can get a lower price on his car insurance. Wow. Now that's progressive. Tony Muscahio reporting live at Geraci's.
And he can hit off the red tees.
Thank you, Tony.
I'll see you guys. Actually,
Bye-bye.
next week we're eating sushi. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. So cool, man. That place looks amazing. The food looks amazing. I remember, again, going there to the one in University Heights as a kid. It was a special treat to be going to Geraci's for dinner. The food just fantastic. So if you want that gift certificates, email. There it is, once again. And pick a winner, and somebody will be eating on us. So good stuff.
Really good stuff.
Also, we want to, before we wrap things up here shortly, want to talk about Charles Guile again.
Yes.
Wait a second. Chris wants to know, can I win? Well, email, Chris.
Email.
It was very cool about Terry Francona, too, being a part of this.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty sweet. Get that pizza with the looks like
The home plate. That's a great idea.
But yeah, we want to talk about Charles Guile again. Charles was a friend of Triv, a friend of mine, still is a friend of mine, a friend of yours.
Yep.
Tony, I know, knew him. Everybody that was involved with Coach for Kids knows Charles Guile. If you were a listener for the Triv Show for any period of time, you knew who Charles was or is, because he played all the benefits for us, or a lot of them anyways. And he is going to have quadruple bypass surgery, I think, next week. And so we want to keep him in our prayers, no doubt. Also, he's just a one-man band, man. And so I know he has a lot of medical bills, a lot of expenses, and he can't play these gigs for quite some time after the surgery is done. So he's going to need some help. They've started a GoFundMe for Charles. If you can donate, it's on the screen. But if you can't, make sure you got all your prayers and good thoughts and good vibes headed his way, because it is happening next week. And I know I'll be thinking about him, praying for him. And we'll try to give you an update next week as far as what happened and how everything went. And God willing, I'm sure everything will go fine. But got to keep him in our thoughts and prayers, because it's a tough road, no doubt. I know what it's like to be in that kind of situation. I was in the same situation a year ago. Different illness, but yeah.
If anybody out there listening knows somebody that's got a bar and a patio, a big vacant lot, a couple electrical outlets, so on and so forth, that Seth and I will put our heads together and see if we can come up with a way to do some sort of fundraiser for him, like we did last year in May, and see what we can do. So if you got any ideas as to how we can help, get in touch. We'll develop those as well.
Sending love and prayers to the family and his doctors. Yeah.
Yep.
So many times we talk about the family that needs prayers, but yeah, pray for those doctors and all those people around those doctors, because those people are vital, as we know, as I know.
Yeah.
So absolutely praying for him and his speedy recovery. So, well, it's about that time, Mike. I appreciate you tonight. I don't want to get any big major topics again because
No, we got plenty coming up.
we got a lot of stuff coming on the way. I don't know what you want to do on Monday. We got another comic. I'm assuming that we're going to try to get a hold of. That's going to be on the show.
We'll have another comic in time for you to promo that stuff and get out. I'm waiting for a couple phone calls back.
Where's the show going to be this coming Tuesday? Because you guys got another one. Is it this Tuesday or next Tuesday or when is it?
It's next Tuesday. So we will have a chance to promo it again on Monday, but it's Tuesday evening in Medina at you had the flyer up, the Nazarene Church in Medina. I don't know if there's more than one, and I don't know the address, but it's in the website. It's in Chris's commercial. If you email me, I'll make sure you get the address and all that stuff. And like I said, all you got to do is go to the Wayside, get your receipt, and bring that, and that'll be your admission ticket.
The Wayside Inc. The WaysideInc.org is where you want to go.
Yep.
So you can check that out. And these shows are going to benefit East Palestine. There's a lot of stuff going on. I know dollars only stretch so far, but do as much as you can to help out.
Yeah.
I'll be doing the same as well. But looking forward to Monday with another comedian. And hopefully everybody has a good week and a good weekend. So thanks for hanging tonight. We appreciate it. Natalie wanted to know, Seth, do you announce the winner of the drawing from Tony's show? Yeah, we can announce the winner on Monday. We'll announce the winner on Monday who gets the gift certificate. But if you do win, I will email you as soon as I can. Thanks for the great show, Seth and Mike. Thank you. And God willing, we will talk to you again on Monday. Thanks, Mike.
Have a great weekend, everybody. You too, Seth, buddy.